1991 here, just in the designer at the moment. Just doing a little bit of work, lining out the latest project, which is I got a yawn here. Sorry, long day at the office, but yeah, just doing some work on the Majlis course at Emirates Golf Club. So as you can see there, it's not my usual way of designing a course in terms of planting as I go along. But the reason for that, I suppose, was mainly to do with the fact that I could have used maybe three different themes for this. I mean, we have the desert theme, we have the steppe, and we also have the tropical theme that you can use to design the courses. So yeah, I think the planting really just came from being unsure of which one I actually wanted to use and which one actually suited the course better. But I think the main focus for me was that it was going to need quite a mix of trees. I mean, Dubai does is known for its palm trees, as well as it is known for just your standard looking tree, as you can see there. So the only one that really offered that was the tropical theme in itself. So what I was trying to do is maybe do a little bit of sculpting here and there just to kind of give that real effect to the course. Like obviously there's like the only things that have really been done essentially is the tee boxes, maybe some areas in around the green or behind the green here. They were just lightly sculpted or up the side of the third fairway here. I just kind of created that little ridge there that's there in real life just to see what it looked like in comparison. Now I've been taking an lot of looks at Rory McIlroy's highlights from the Omega Dubai Desert Classic. So that's the tournament that's held here on the European Tour, and so far so good. I mean, I'm really happy with how it's working at the moment. So here we have the first hole, nice little short par four. You'll take a driver at the moment with no wind, landed up around here, about 301 ish. You're leaving yourself about that 155 to 160. Not a huge amount of elevation in that second shot. Depending on that where that pin is, I mean that bunker is going to be deep. Just a fair warning on that, as most of the greenside bunkers are in the Emirates, and in that pin there, center of the green, which obviously is going to move. Then the second is that needs a little bit of work there. Again, just did a little bit of planting here, just to try and get that feel, and I need to lessen down that. That's a bit too much. But the very short par for second, which essentially driver off the tee isn't the club here. As you can see there, that fairway is very tight, and that's pretty much how tight it plays. I mean, the pros themselves, they might play it a little bit tighter than that, but at the end of the day, I mean, I don't want the course itself to become an absolute score fest. I definitely want to at least have a little bit of a risk and reward. Um, Plus, if you miss the fairway, I mean, you're going to be like if you're using the tour clubs, you're talking about 290 yards carry, or not carry, but at least full on into the rough. So 294. If you miss it right, you should land about here. Okay, leaves you 64 yards, which is a pitch shot with a gap wedge. The green is going to be a little difficult, fair enough, but I mean, there's nothing overly difficult about that. It's if you pull it back a little bit and hit maybe 2 iron to a 5 wood off the tee. That's where this water here comes into play, and that's where things can get a little bit difficult for you. So I suppose it's just stepping up on that tee and trying to figure out uh, what's the right club off the tee to go with. For me, to avoid all trouble, I would just, and again, depending on the wind, if I'm playing with a little wind off the left or even a straightforward wind, I'd probably just aim it up the left hand side, because again, this is going to need to be sculpted which it has done a little bit there, but it's going to need to be done a little bit more, and would probably end up kicking the ball out here to the right, and then it's just a pitch shot on. So then we've got the third. So we originally were going to go with the kind of slightly forward tee boxes at 520, which would have, I suppose, if you drove it. Yeah, I mean, I suppose we probably could actually go with the. Oh yeah, see that's if we go back here. Sorry, I was reading it wrong. I was reading the yardage off the back tees using the front tees. So Let me see. What if we got it in a difference between the two? So 60 yards. So if we drove it, let's say 339, which would get us to about here. That's minimum carry. Thing is, though, is that tour clubs pretty much takes that bunker out of play. That back tee with the downwind brings those bunkers into play. So I definitely wanted to keep that there. Um, and then from there again, like this fairway does need a little bit of work. It's just a little bit ragged there on the right hand side and just needs a little bit of tidying up. But happy enough with it so far. And then second shot up the hill. Nice little tidy green, protected well there by two bunkers short left. Um, a bit of a runoff area down here, which is a little bit more severe than that, and it's definitely going to run down into these palm trees down here. And you're also going to have your a bit of dirt down there. So what I've actually used for this is mulch. It's not the most ideal. It's better than placing bunkers everywhere, that's for sure. The sand is slightly different in the rougher areas as it is to in actual bunkers itself. The bunkers are quite soft in terms of the sand they're using, where this is very kind of hard dirt. So I thought that the mulch at least gave the best representation of the lie you'd get from it, but also the color's perfect. It looks like, I mean, if I didn't tell you it was mulch and if the screen didn't tell you it when you played on it, you'd swear you were playing from that kind of a hard desert ground. Um, so that's why I went with that. Then we have the par four third, nice little par, or not par four, and not the third hole. It's the par three fourth. Get my words right. Long enough, long enough. It's about 180 yards to the center of the green. Water comes into play. Gonna have water short, right, and maybe long right actually as well. But to be honest, if you are pretty accurate, it's um, it's not really going to come into play too much. I mean, unless you have that back left pin, that's the only time it should really be a massive factor, or you hit a bit of a. Oh, yeah. Sorry, guys, yawning again. Or if you hit a bit of a slow swing, that's definitely gonna push it out there. So then we're moving on now. I know the next hole I did was actually the seventh hole. These two par trees are back to back, or side by side, I should say. So it just made sense to go ahead and get this done. And the real reason I wanted to do that was simply for the water in itself. Just wanted to make sure that everything was laid out perfectly, so that when I come back, it's just a case of sculpting them. Um, they do play very similar in terms of distances. They're both kind of long in that kind of 185 to 210. Now I can play that a little bit forward if I wanted to play it there, but the 164, but that's a little too easy. I think that about 210 yards over water, it's definitely going to make some people think about it, especially then with that kind of, it's not really a false front per se, but definitely an opportunity there to cause some issues. Um, so that's the seventh hole. I decided to hop onto that when I was doing the fourth. So the fifth hole then it runs around the back of the seventh tee over to the fifth tee. Nice little dogleg par four. So it's literally just going to run out here. Nice dogleg back. Playing it kind of over water, quite a bit of water there in the first few holes. Um, but like I said, if you get into a bit of trouble down the right or even down the left, you do have that bailout area here on the left hand side, give you a decent opportunity to get up and down for your par. But also, if you do manage to spray it a little bit on the right hand side, plenty of room out there too. So this fairway is pretty much looking done right now. The fairway is at least, but I'll put in a little bit of light rough there. I've been using the brushes lately a lot more than splines, simply because I find it easier to get the exact measurement of how thick I want it to be, more so than anything else. So let's just take a look there. Right, create surfaces. Um, yeah, we'll go with the oval. I like working with the oval. Nice representation. So what I tend to do when I'm measuring these up, and what I've been doing lately, is you can see there that the oval has like an inner circle, or an inner oval, I should say, in it. So what I do is I try to measure up the fairway with the line of that, and then start planting, and that way it gives you that nice thick line around it. Now, obviously, as we move up, we're going to need to. So what we're going to do is we want to continue to try and have that um, inner oval just on the edges of the fairways, and just keep using that as we move up. And what we'll do then is, with using that type of measurement, we'll then keep everything pretty equal. So as you can see, the fairway starts to widen there. So with that, we're just going to widen up the oval, and as you can see there, it's just giving it a way nicer, a way cleaner look. I used to try and use the splines for this, but it just used to cause a little bit of issues, a little bit of raggedy looking um, like rough along the fairway, and that then it made it really hard to polish it. So just like I said, every or like I say, for every course that I design, I mean, I'm not perfect. Um, I'm not going to turn around and say I'm the I'm the best out there at creating these RCRs. I try my hardest. I put my heart and soul into everything that I do with them. But you can be sure that there's definitely an awful lot better out there who maybe have better ways of doing the RCRs than I do. So for anyone, I suppose, looking to find out how or how I go about in terms of building it and laying it out, because I suppose you could be looking at the screen there and wondering what are all those different dots, what are all those different markers. About what they are, essentially, are just measurement points that I use for kind of gauging the um, the width and the distances, etc., to the flag. So I've removed a few at the moment, just because when I was going through it, I sometimes they can just get a little bit in my way. And visually, I don't like to be looking at them the whole time. Um, so I went ahead and have removed a good few of them there. Um, so they're just, for me, they're perfect guides for trying to gauge, or not trying to gauge, but just to for when you're or laying out the fairways um, and stuff like that. It's so handy to have them there, um, and that way you can get that way more accurate replication of the course itself. And where that comes from, I suppose, is it's a bunch of different sources, really. There's so many different areas you can use. Google Earth Pro is definitely one of them. Um, Blue Golf is another. I see quite a few use. I don't use that one myself. Um, I use 18 Birdies from time to time, which is one I really like using. I like it simply because it gives me really good feedback on elevations. Um, on top of that, then I think course photography is very important. So I'm always going through the golf course's website, seeing what the photographs they have. Depending on whether the course itself is hosted tournaments, I'm always looking through video footage. Um, so for example, here, like I was saying earlier, I've been watching an awful lot of the clips from Rory McIlroy's 4 rounds here there a couple of weeks ago. And the main reason for why I chose Rory, if anyone's wondering, I know he's Northern Irish and go team and all that, but simply because he he just missed out on winning the tournament by a shot. So obviously by um, by just losing out means he obviously played somewhat well, and if he's playing it somewhat well, that means, well, he definitely hit fairways, he hit greens. That means I can get a good opportunity to take a look and see exactly how he played, and at least that way, then it'll give me a good indication of what each hole looks like.